It is finally All-Star Weekend. The NBA activities are about to begin, and all of the NBA All-Stars are getting ready to put on a show for the fans, including first-time All-Star and New York Knicks point guard Jalen Brunson. And while the All-Stars have one thing in mind, their agencies may have another agenda altogether. And I'm talking about CAA, because they recently released a statement about the All-Stars they have in the All-Star game on Sunday. And they did that to send a message to the NBA. We're going to break down that report and why it's so important for the New York Knicks. All of this and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. CAA recently released a statement on the All-Stars they have in the All-Star game. And if it was a different agency, maybe I wouldn't think anything of it. But the reason I mention it is because it's CAA. And who are the players that the New York Knicks normally target during the offseason, especially if they're available or disgruntled? Let me think about that. Oh yeah, CAA. So anytime they release any statement, it's significant, and all New York Knicks fans need to take it in and see if it means anything. And in my opinion, this message means something for the league. Let's take a look at it really quickly. As you can see here, CAA Sports recently released this message about its All-Stars. You can see it right at the bottom there. CAA represents 6 NBA All-Stars, the most of any agency. And they created this great graphic for all of their All-Stars as well too. And you can see the players on the list: Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Devin Booker, and Tyrese Halliburton. Why is this significant? First of all, it's a clear statement and message to the league that CAA is here, they're ready to stay, they have top talents, they have the most All-Stars in the All-Star game this year, and obviously it's a message to attract more talent to either leave their representation or join CAA if they're thinking about changing representation already. It's a clear message for those type of players, but also it's to showcase everything that they've done over the last few years. They've taken a lot of shots, and anytime the New York Knicks have gone after players, most times they've had ties with CAA. That's not a surprise given the president is Leon Rose and what his connections were with CAA before he joined the New York Knicks as president. We have to acknowledge that. It's important for the New York Knicks as well too, because we just mentioned it. They have all of their first round picks. They have all of the assets available right now. So if that's the case, and one of these players on this list gets available and they're disgruntled at some point in time, it's likely that the New York Knicks are going to target them and try to trade for them. And they have all of the assets available to make a trade like that happen for either an all-star or a superstar. Before we break down the actual players on that list that are realistic and make sense for the Knicks, let's go ahead and take away the ones that don't make sense to talk about at all. First of all, there's no reason to talk about Jalen Brunson. JB, love you. Hope you show out on the game on Sunday, and I hope you show out tonight in the three-point contest. But honestly, there's no point in talking about you because you're currently a New York Knicks player, and you're likely going to be a Knick for the rest of your career. At least if I can have my way about it. Moving on then, let's go to the next player who's likely nobody to talk about, and that's Paul George. Paul George is likely going to stay with the Los Angeles Clippers. They want to retain him. They want to keep him. I know there's been iffy things about his contract and if potentially he's going to re-sign with the deal that he wants, but either way, whether it's a few million short, I still think at the end of the day, he loves that team. He loves that franchise. He loves being in that city. And because of all of those factors, I think he's going to stay with them. He's going to re-sign. So honestly, there's no point in talking about Paul George either. The next person that there's no point at all in talking about because he's already balling and putting on a show for Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton, who has been balling for the Indiana Pacers, putting on a show, assist leader. He is one of the franchise pieces for that team. There is no way that they're ever going to trade him or let him go. Something drastically crazy would have to go wrong for them to even consider trying to trade him. So there's no point in talking about him either. So honestly, who's left on the board? Great question. Donovan Mitchell, Karl-Anthony Towns, oh, and Devin Booker. Let's start there because Karl-Anthony Towns, pretty obvious. Donovan Mitchell, pretty obvious. But Devin Booker, not so obvious. He's on the Phoenix Suns, a powerhouse team in the Western Conference, especially when healthy. So why are we talking about that? Well, shout out to the ringer Howard Beck for interviewing all of these NBA executives because he got some great intel and they said the following about the Phoenix Suns and their star situation. Look at the text box on the far right of the screen. That's the first one we're going to be talking about because that's the one that deals with the most important information. What if the Suns, according to one NBA executive, currently 32-22 and in 5th in the West, get bounced in the first round? Durant for sure looks around, said the second Eastern Conference executive. Durant has always had a wandering eye, and if Durant left, the GM said Booker would have to consider his options too. That's why we're talking about the Phoenix Suns. Listen, Bradley Beal and his health is always a question mark. When he's healthy and that team is fully healthy, yes, they are good, and some games they're scary. But how often are they fully healthy? Sometimes KD is out, and oftentimes, Beal is out. And like you just heard, KD has a wandering eye. He oftentimes looks for the easiest route to where he can get the championship in the easiest way. He did that with the Warriors. He tried to do that with Phoenix. Although it's not working right now, we still don't know if it's going to work this year. Because honestly, when healthy, they do look good. And KD still looks very good. I know he's getting up there in age, but his age is not affecting his game at all. Not affecting his jumper, not affecting his three-point shot. They all still look smooth. So Kevin Durant, don't get it twisted. He's still a great basketball player, top 10 basketball player in the league, and he is still a problem. So that Phoenix Suns team still has a great chance to compete for a championship this year. But if they don't and they burn out, I absolutely think Kevin Durant will look at other places that he can join that can help him win a championship now because his great years are dwindling away. And sooner or later, he's not going to be that same type of Kevin Durant. And I think he recognizes that too. He wants to maximize these great years that he has left. That's why if an opportunity presents itself to join a powerhouse team, I think he wouldn't hesitate to jump ship and join that team. And if you look around the league, New York, doesn't it look a little bit more attractive now? You got Jalen Brunson there, all-star. You got Julius Randle there, all-star. They don't look more attractive? Jalen Brunson, Devin Booker, that backcourt, that's not lethal? That's not game-changing? That's not franchise-shifting? In my opinion, it absolutely is. Maybe even more so than Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson is. Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson, that backcourt is lethal, but it's not as lethal in my opinion than Devin Booker and Jalen Brunson. Now, Donovan Mitchell probably costs you less. I'll give you that. But Devin Booker is going to run circles around each and every player on a night-to-night basis. You pair that with Jalen Brunson, somebody else who can run circles around opposing offenses. That's just scary hours. You're not stopping them. And then you have OG Anunoby still. His defense, you're not stopping the Knicks. You have Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein still. You're not stopping the Knicks. They kept Julius Randle during this deal. No way you are stopping the Knicks. Now, obviously, they have a lot of players on this roster that are going to have to be traded in a deal for any of these players. The good news is they have all of the assets available to go ahead and do that. Devin Booker, for me, is number one. If he is available this offseason, I don't care who else is available. The Knicks need to do everything in their power to try to trade with Phoenix and get Devin Booker on the Knicks. He is a game changer in my opinion. But let's continue here because Devin Booker wasn't the only name on that list. We had a few others. You guys remember who they were, right? Cat and Donovan Mitchell. According to one NBA executive, he believes that a Karl-Anthony Towns trade happens this summer. Honestly, that's cool. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I don't want Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't think the Knicks should pay Karl-Anthony Towns all that money and trade a significant amount of assets to try to get Karl-Anthony Towns on this roster because Cat on the Knicks does nothing in my opinion. He is not a needle mover, and the Knicks still need another piece even after making that trade. And now they have less assets to do it. Why do that? It makes zero sense. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. No to Cat. No thank you. Stay in Minnesota, or if you're going to get traded anywhere else. Go to Brooklyn. But please do not come to the New York Knicks. You are not the player that a lot of people think you are. Look at your playoff resume. You get paid like a superstar, and you never show up like one. Why does that make sense to anybody? If Devin Booker is number 1 on my list, then Donovan Mitchell is number 2, especially when you're taking this list into account. I've said this in so many videos, so I might sound like a broken record already, but Spida and Jalen Brunson in a backcourt, it works, it fits, and if you don't think it fits, maybe watch 5 or 10 Cleveland games and educate yourself a little bit. And then tell me something, by the way, if you don't think it works. Why is Cleveland currently number 2 in the Eastern Conference? Why is that? Because they're a bad team? Because Donovan Mitchell doesn't pass the ball? Because he's a ball hog? Because he doesn't play defense? Wrong. Plays defense this year. Passes the ball this year. Has been one of the best things for the Cleveland Cavaliers for this season. They are not this good if Donovan Mitchell is not this good. They run on him this year because of all of the injuries they're dealing with. If the Knicks are dealing with injuries, so are they. If the Knicks have found a way to win, so have they. And their way to win is by playing Donovan Mitchell as much as possible, letting him hold the ball, and letting him make the big decisions in those game time moments that either lead to your team winning the game or losing the game. And Donovan Mitchell, when he's been asked to lead this Cavs team, he has shown up, he has showcased his skill set, and he showed you why he is one of the best offensive players in the game today. And his defense, especially this year, is proving a lot of doubters wrong. Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson work. I don't want to hear anything about it. I think Leon Rose and the New York Knicks know that too. And I think if Donovan Mitchell becomes available at any point in time, they are going to target him and go after him. Now, if it's Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell and they're both available in that scenario, I think they're going to target Booker way before they target Donovan. But if Booker's not available and Donovan is, I absolutely believe that the New York Knicks are going to aggressively pursue Donovan Mitchell and try to trade for him and get him on this roster. It's all going to come down to value. And at the end of the day, that's always what it's been about with Leon Rose. If the value has been fair, he's going to do the deal. And this season, he's proved to me, and I think to a lot of Knicks fans, he can make magic happen without giving up a lot. And since that's the case, I believe he can get that job done and get Donovan Mitchell on this roster. Sooner or later, you're going to start seeing Spida in New York billboards because it's going to be real and it's going to happen. I believe that with my heart and soul. Leon's not going to let us down. He didn't let us down this year, and he's not going to let us down in the future. Donovan Mitchell is probably the most likely on this list anyways to be a New York Knick in the coming future. But what about you guys? What do you think about this statement released by CAA? Do you also think it's significant for the New York Knicks? And if one of these players become disgruntled and available this offseason, who do you think the Knicks have the best shot at acquiring? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.